काठमाडौँ स्टार्टअप जुन चाहिँ यो एउटा एकदमै लुज नेटवर्क हो जसमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ विभिन्न टाइममा चाहिँ विभिन्न गेस्टहरूलाई चाहिँ इन्भाइट गरिरहेको हुन्छ and it's a fourth session we are doing right now, and today we have a wonderful guest, and my friend Zeenat Parveen. She heads men's apparel business at Paytm. Paytm is India's one of the largest digital wallet. And besides that, she comes up with 10 years of the big experience working with Aditya Birla and other pharmaceutical giant called JS Associate. She's into a consulting, strategy, and sales, and also she's also one of the alum from IIM Lucknow, one of the most reputed business school in India. So Zeenat, I couldn't welcome you to Nepal, but I'm welcoming you virtually to the session that is hosted by Kathmandu Startups, and you can start now with a small introduction and all.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Devesh, and everyone out in Kathmandu who has welcomed me to this great platform to interact with all of you. I'm really excited to be a part of this webinar. Let us start with this great thing that we are currently into it. We are living in unprecedented times. We never imagined that we will witness something like this in our lifetimes. Who imagined that we would witness a year where over half of the world will be locked inside their homes because of a flu virus? Who imagined that flu could be this deadly? In fact, we always thought that we have enough scientific advancement to make us the god of this world, but apparently it's not true. So through this webinar, I would want to talk about few things that we as business owners can look at to use this downturn in a better way for our businesses. So Devesh, can we go to the next slide?
Naveen, can we hide floating meeting controls? Okay, all right. So is it clear, Zeenat?
Yes. So if you talk about the world, the whole world is affected by this pandemic. Nearly 28 lakhs people around the world has been affected by this virus, and over 2 lakh lives have been lost. So the mortality rate of this virus is around 7%, which is quite high. 18 lakh people are still battling with the disease. Global economy is projected to go under recession with a GDP growth of -3%, and millions of people have either lost their jobs or are staring at potential job losses. The situation is surely grim for all of us. Let's move to the next. So if I talk specifically about Nepal, it is obviously not insulated to the above world dynamics. The Visit Nepal Year 2020 tourism promotion event, which was aimed at doubling the international visitors to 20 million, has been shelved due to obvious reasons. Global layoffs of workers is affecting Nepal. Construction and trade industry is severely affected as the two bordering nations of China and India have been sealed. So the world is changing to adapt to this new reality. Work from home has become a new buzzword. Increasingly, all business and social activities are moving to the online space, like meetings, conferences, talks, etc. Even this webinar is a clear byproduct of Corona. People are adopting digital media for entertainment, learning, consultations, etc. Masks are becoming a part of a dress code, and many apparel manufacturers have started making fashion masks. High-tech factories, complete with robots, are replacing traditional Asian shoe and clothing plants. especially those supplying sport brands like Germany's Adidas and Puma. So even the retail industry is clearly affected. 90% of the businesses shut down due to the lockdown. Only up to 10% of the industry is functioning at the moment, as the retailers are selling only essential items. 20 to 25% of the industry players may need a capital infusion to stay afloat. And about 1/4 of the jobs in the industry may get impacted. However, even when the lockdown is lifted, retailers will struggle with demand, as most of the consumers will restrict themselves to buying only essentials like food and basic necessities. At times like these, the offline retail network has to bear a huge brunt of dwindling footfalls and will fail to revive sales in the next 6 to 12 months as the industry projects. Burdened with high fixed costs, retailers are heavily dependent on daily transaction values to be able to bear the high rentals, staff salaries, and plenty of other day-to-day operating expenses. So under this grim scenario, you as a business owner, how can you save your business and yourself? So we'll be talking about few things that you can do in this downturn so that you emerge stronger of this crisis. So the first thing that is very critical in this time is to ideate and strategize. So retail or any other business is all about doing the same thing perfectly over and over again. Many a times doing the routine stuff get businesses stuck in a rut and we become very complacent. We make the same mistakes again without realizing them or even fail to experiment. The fact remains that obvious negative results, problem points, or areas of improvement cannot be identified without changing our methods or habits. So we all need to use this downturn, which has given us a lot of free time, to relook at a business model and work on how we can reinvent. You can use this time to connect with the team and get ideas for changing it for the better. Maybe one of your staff can come up with an excellent way of doing a particular thing in a better way. For example, a cashier can come up with a faster way of billing a cart by sequencing articles better. A store manager can work on a heat map analysis of his store and come with a better layout. Ideas related to process optimization seldom come to our minds when we are loaded with the pressure of delivering sales or caught up with firefighting activities in a daily routine. If your business is only offline centric, then it's a good time to go digital and create new sales avenues, because obviously you can't leave everything on one channel of sales. Ideas need the luxury of time. Use this time to work on building better strategies for your company. Look at de-risking your supply chain. For example, in Nepal, there is a lot of dependency on China to get your products, whether it be raw material or finished goods. But right now, the borders are sealed. So if a company is 100% dependent on China for sourcing of its products, it needs to find new avenues to find supply. Let's move on to the next topic. The second important thing that you can do for your company is to invest in learning and development. Investing in your people is always a good idea. It is for this reason that most of the leading businesses or even retailers have a robust system of training and development of its staff and employees. However, when we plan a business, it is planned to have a certain optimal number of staff, right? So many a times, stores are optimally staffed and typically they don't have extra hands. So it is important to maintain a healthy balance between the optimal staff and the efficiency. So in normal circumstances, if you want to train somebody on better customer service, it has to be done after pulling a staff for a day and then training him. So you lose on to that efficiency. The rest of the team shares the load, which invariably means running the store on lower capacity or running your business with fewer hands. So the training has to have a trade-off. But this is an ideal time to focus on completion of multi-level sessions on topics like basic Excel training or financial literacy, spoken English, computer literacy, as the case may be for your particular business. This is so much harder to achieve when it is business as usual because everybody is caught up with their own tasks. But when you have time on your side, why not upgrade your staff and make them prepared for the future? Mobile content can be developed so that staff can even take advantage of distant learning and need not assemble in groups. This is the time to take the opportunity to sow so that you can reap the harvest better in the future. Use this time to upskill yourself as a leader, as you also need to continuously learn and guide the team to the right direction. Then you need to use this time to have a business reboot. Most of the retail stores are open for 12 to 14 hours daily without break in normal times. All the maintenance work for any business has to be done post the working hours. So imagine fixing a car which is running at 100 kilometers per hour, right? It's so difficult to do that. You need to stop the car to fix it. If I talk about a typical store, a retail store, the back rooms are a mess. The store staff can use this low pressure period for reorganizing the back room, checking for stuff. Each business store is like a small center of financial activity. They have heavy volumes of transactions and stock movements. Stock audits are one of the regular activities that a store does, and typically it happens every month or every quarter. And for any business, it's really critical so that you have you monitor your stock, you monitor your finances. But doing that in regular time, obviously it is a little inefficient and you might lose on certain things. So this is the best time to reevaluate your whole business in terms of your cash flows, in terms of your processes, and then work upon optimizing complete processes. You can do formal audits and you can analyze existing processes and set up better working conditions so that when the business is revived, you are operating with better efficiency. Let's move to the next. Debesh, let's move to the next slide. Am I audible? Okay, so I think there's some problem with the slide. I'll just go to the next topic. The next thing that you really need to work upon is on people connect. Great teams deliver greatness. Just like a cricket match where perfect coordination between the bowler and the fielders can send a batsman back to the pavilion. A Hello. I think there was some technical issue.
Zeenat, do you have your slide with you?
Yes,
I think Divesh is not available right now, so I think you can share your slide and we can continue.
So I'm disabled to share my screen.
Okay, just a second.
Can I mail it to you?
I hope you can hear me. It's Garima. Divesh Dai had lost his internet connection, so he'll be sending the presentation slide and then we'll be able to present it. So very sorry for the inconvenience caused.
No issues, no issues. If you have any other email ID, even I can mail it to you.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you know in a moment. Till then, you can maybe keep sharing about what you were talking about, and I'll just get the slide in a moment.
Right. So maybe whatever we have discussed till now, if anybody has a question or would want to discuss something, I'm open to those questions. Santosh, can you unmute everybody so that at least we can have a discussion? So I have a question from Sushil Sharma. He's asking how long digital payment gateways will work on this situation. Will people use online service once they have fund in their account, or do you think digital payment gateway will get affected by this COVID-19? So, Sushil, I think we are in the right business right now by being in the digital payment gateway. It is one vertical which is quite insulated by this coronavirus, and even governments are moving everything digitally. So right now, I don't see any harm in the digital payment gateway. And if you have funds in that, it's quite safe, and it will expand more and more in the future. I have a question from Sahaj, who is asking, is it a right time to start a new retail business at this moment, maybe digitally? I think this is the best time to enter into a digital retail strategy. What you really need to look at is the product that we are going to offer. Because how I see is that in the next 6 to 12 months, the demand is only going to be about essentials or something that is really innovative in these circumstances. For example, I know a lot of apparel manufacturers who have started making masks instead of the shirts or trousers they were manufacturing before. So they have their workforce who know tailoring, who know stitching. So they are using the same workforce to create something more, which is helping to add value in the current domain. So you should look at the product that you're going to go to the market with. It has to be relevant, it has to be essential, and digital is the only retail segment that will grow in the next 1 year. So as the presentation is up, I'll go to my next slide, which is on the People Connect. So Garima, can you just move to the next slide? Resuming our discussion on what you need to do with your business during this time. So great teams deliver greatness. Just like a cricket match where perfect coordination between the bowler and the fielders can send a batsman back to the pavilion, a retail store also works on the symphony between the security guard opening the door, taking the baggage, sales associate helping with the choices, and cashier delivering a very smooth checkout. However, not all teams are built naturally. Team building requires effort, which in turn demands time. When the stores are full of people, it is hard to conduct team building activities, as it is difficult to find everyone in the team available at the same time. Conducting team building exercises during normal times means giving up on the customer or client which is practically next to impossible. But a downturn is a perfect time to build good activities to bring the team together. Get them to know each other well, get them to share stories, maybe online, iron out differences, bond together, and eventually it will help you all to become closer as a team and deliver great results in the future. Give your staff a reason to smile, because right now the situation is very grim. We are really sad in our homes, locked down, not able to see the outside world. But in this time, if you build a connect with your team, they will genuinely pass it on to your customers in the future. You will increase the trust between your staff and yourself, and they will eventually help you to build a great business. And apart from building a team connect, Use this time to connect with your peers, your ex-colleagues, your mentors, or industry experts. It will help you to learn something new and in building a stronger network for you in the future. Let's move on to the next slide. Finally, I think one of the most important things that you can do during this time is to work on yourself. Nothing can beat the effort spent on building your own self. Each one of us, we are work in progress. During a daily routine, we're so busy in execution and work that we forget that even we need polishing and upgradation. Many of us, we neglect our health, rushing from one project to the other, eager to meet deadlines and take our companies to higher levels. But this is an ideal time to pause and reflect upon how we can build ourselves. We need to invest this time in building our physical and mental stamina. Read upon varied subjects and arm yourself with more knowledge. Reach out to others to learn something new. Ruminate about what you have done in the past and how you could have done it better. All these efforts on self-building will reinvigorate and revive you with new energy. This is the most important thing that you can do in these times. As we all know, the world is going to revive sooner or later, but you need to be prepared for it. So that brings me to the end of this discussion. Now, I would like to be open to all questions that you have regarding businesses or retail in specific or digital in specific. Maybe I can start taking up questions which are there in the group chat. Barun is asking, as an executive at one of India's largest digital platforms, what are the macro trends you anticipate for the potential transition of traditional SMEs to become digital in India and South Asia as a whole? See, in these times, I believe either you pivot or you perish. So either you need to adapt to these changing scenarios. One of the major changes that I have already spoken about is everybody is going digital. So if you are a traditional SMEs who has put all the strategies or initial efforts on building only one sales strategy, which could be an offline retail network, you have to think of increasing your reach through other media as well. You have to think digitally. You have to increase your digital footprint because maybe you have not thought of it before, but to survive in any business right now, you need to have different channels of sales. So in order to be digital, you need to know the right platforms that are working in your community. Either you attach yourself to a platform or you have the wherewithal, then you can create a platform for yourself. For example, there are various small online businesses that have come up in India, which is into multiple things. Maybe it is in gifting, as Santosh, like one of our participants has a offering happiness business in which he is doing gifting across Nepal. So it would make sense to have it online, and I think it's already online, but for other businesses also to adapt a similar strategy to move on a digital platform so that you increase your reach. So as I was saying, that even if the natural boundaries are closing, but increasingly nations will be speaking to each other through virtual world. And that's where the SMEs have to pivot themselves. The next question is by Sushil Sharma. He's asking, is Paytm affected by COVID-19? So if I talk about Paytm as an ecosystem, Paytm not only has a digital wallet, it also has other channels of business, which is into insurance, which is into banking, which is into e-commerce. So every business have either a negative or a positive effect due to the COVID-19. If I talk about the e-commerce vertical, so the essential goods, which is typically the sanitizers or the face mask or food, these businesses have seen growth, while the non-essential goods, which would be primarily fashion, home and kitchen, general merchandise, footwear, these have seen a decline because the government has mandated us not to sell non-essentials. So automatically these businesses have gone down. If I talk about digital transaction, overall in India, the economic activity has gone lower because everybody is at home. There is only the transactions that are happening is only for essential commodities. So obviously the rest of the transaction which was earlier happening has taken a downturn. So that ways we have been affected. Next question is by Rupak. Can you list out important strategy to scale the sales digitally? So I think to increase your sales footprint in the digital network, it is very important to first start with the product that you are having. Right now, if you are into a luxury good market, I think it will be very hard to scale even in the digital platform. So you will have to first relook at your product. Does it have mass usage? For example, mask. If you get into really nice, fashionable mask, there will be a lot of traction. So first, definitely you have to look at your product. The second important thing to grow digitally is to identify the right platforms on which you can go live. For example, in India, if I talk about e-commerce, the leading platforms are Amazon, Flipkart, Paytm. So all these platforms need to have the presence of your product for you to be able to get a better market share. And third is definitely you will have to understand what your customer wants and what the customer is saying about your product. In the digital network, it is very easy to get feedback because all the products get reviews in real time. So if you have listed a particular product on Paytm, you will have reviews beneath whether the customer is liking it or not, whether they are suggesting there's something that needs to improve. So you have to keep listening to the customers. What is the requirement? What are the things that they are missing in your current product? And then innovate accordingly and give them a better product. The next question is from Pooja. She's asking, do you think starting a new business in fashion clothing would be a good idea in this pandemic situation? I personally believe fashion is reinventing itself during this time. So if I look at my own business vertical, we are thinking a lot about reinventing fashion. For example, what we understand is people are now moving to the online space even for meetings. Work from home has become the new buzzword, right? While I'm sitting at home, what is the kind of clothes that I would require? So if you are thinking of getting into a new fashion business, you have to have a customer first strategy. Like right now, what is it that a customer needs? So if I am regularly doing online meetings or conferences or Zoom calls, so what kind of shirt would I want to wear? Because obviously I need to look presentable in my online meetings. The second thing you can look at would be, since everybody is working from home, then they would like to have more of comfort element. So the athleisure part of fashion will see a lot of growth. So it's a good time to start a business in fashion clothing, given that you pick up the right trends and be specific to it. The another important trend that we are looking at is fashionable mask. So if I'm wearing a shirt which is striped, if I have a matching mask, it really adds to my personality. And going forward, even when like most of the people who will be going back to work, mask is not going to go away. It will become just another clothing accessory. like maybe a wristwatch or maybe a nice belt. So a mask is going to be a fashion statement. So maybe that's where you can get into. So be very particular in what you are catering to before starting a fashion business. The next question is by Sabine. He's saying healthy mindset leads to creativity. What practices do you regularly do to keep your creative mind functioning in full swing? How important it is to spare some time every day to motivate your mind to push yourself out of comfort zone. So, Sabine, as you rightly said, a healthy mindset leads to creativity. If I am consistently thinking about the same things over and over again, I may not come out with great solutions or creative solution. So creativity requires the luxury of time and space. So what I do generally to keep my creative juices flowing is to allocate some time in my daily routine to exercise and meditation, and that is very critical for each one of us to do, because when we meditate, we in a way put our thoughts into pause and we control our thoughts, and it's very important to pause our thoughts so that we can have fresh and new thoughts. Otherwise, it's doing the same thing over and over again will make you very complacent, and you might not even have those creative thoughts that you would otherwise have. So it's very important to pause, to exercise, to meditate, and definitely you have to move out of your comfort zone. And how can you do that? Read something you, if at all you are in the fashion industry, doesn't mean that you have to only read about fashion. You have to read about philosophy as well. You can read about psychology as well. And reading about multiple different subjects will help your creative juices to flow more. For example, I recently did a course on the science of well-being, which is offered by Yale University. It's a free course on Coursera. Anybody can do it. It's a course based on how to increase your sense of well-being and your overall happiness. It comes under a domain of psychology. So it is no way connected to my current business vertical. But yes, it is required to help me understand myself and how I can be better psychologically, which eventually will lead me to become a more creative person. I have another question from someone in admin. It's a very generic question, like how to build retail. So I think that was the crux of my presentation, that to build retail, you will have to use this time to first relook at your business, whether you are in the right product offering, optimize your business, keep your teams motivated and yourself as well. Connect with multiple people, use this downturn to educate yourself, learn more and more, so that when the time is right and everybody is back on track, you emerge as a stronger professional and you are ready to take the world. Another question is by Shiblal. He is asking, I have a restaurant-based business. It's time for social distancing and will continue for 3 to 4 months. How can I increase my sales in my restaurant after this situation? Shiblal, I think like many of the other offline specific retailers, restaurant is one such business area which is currently under heavy distress, right? So for the, as you rightly said, for the next 3 to 4 months, even if the lockdown is eased, people would not want to move out and eat in restaurants because everybody will be maintaining social distancing. So what should you do to increase your sales? First, there are two things. One, what you should do right now, because right now also you're sitting on a lot of fixed cost. which is maybe on your rentals, maybe on your staff salary. So the first thing that you should look at, how can you make your business go digital? If there are certain services like we have on online ordering like Zomato or Swiggy, if Nepal has a network of online delivery executives like that, please hinge on to that so that you can use your current resources to generate at least some sales so that your fixed costs are in a way nullified. The second thing that you should do post the social distancing and the lockdown and the pandemic gets over is to definitely look at what are the trends people are following in terms of their liking. See, after these 3-4 months of being at home, personally, what I have gone to is to cook more at home, is to not have a lot of junk food, is to eat healthier. So is healthier option something that is getting picked up in your area? You have to analyze that and then maybe tweak your product offering to offer those things. For example, if you are typically selling something that is very generic, like maybe ready to eat thalis, generic meals which are very native to your country, it is a good time to relook what are the new trends that are picking up in the market. Are people going into keto diets? So maybe you can start a keto line. Are people going into more uncooked food, maybe like salads and smoothies or drinks, health drinks? Maybe you can start that channel. So it's a good time for you to study how the eating habits are changing in your country and then start adding those to your current menu. That will definitely give you an edge over others. Another question by Sujan. Before starting any business, proper research should be done. How do you think actual research can be done in this and after this situation? It's a very good question, Sujan, because any business can't be started on a hunch. Like if I like something, that doesn't mean I should start that business. You have to pivot yourself as to whether this particular product has a demand in the market. So in times like these where everybody is inside, you should do more of online surveys or maybe surveys on calls where you can talk to people. See, the best part of this lockdown is everybody has a lot of free time. So people would like to interact, would like to answer your questions as well, because most of us are not necessarily getting absorbed into that 9 to 9 work routine. So connect with people over Facebook, connect with people on Instagram who are sharing certain ideas regarding the business that you want to be a part of. Understand more from their perspective. So I think direct calls, surveys, and more of customer interviews during this time will really help you to understand your customer better as to what they really need. And after this situation, definitely you should move into observing people. See, there are two types of research. One is directly asking questions, right? Where you pinpoint to certain things and you get your answers. The second is pure observational, which is how the customer is behaving in a particular setup. For example, if you are going to get into a business of books, you might ask people and they might answer you certain things in terms of what kind of books they like and what kind of authors they would want to read. But once the situation gets over, you should definitely go to multiple bookstores to see how the customers are behaving inside a store. Do they directly enter and they browse the first thing that is kept on the main aisle? Do they need books stacked in a certain way? Do they like a certain way of presentation of a book? Do they like authors coming in and reading about a book? So all these behavioral things need to be analyzed once the situation is over. So just to summarize, first you need to question your target customer, read about the industry during this time when we are in the lockdown. And once the lockdown gets over, go in the market and look how people are reacting or behaving in your particular industry of interest. Another question is by Raz. Recession is gonna hit hard after the lockdown is over, and famine is also inevitable. It's gonna hamper all the business, not just in e-commerce and retail and even IT. Not everyone has access to internet and go digital in Nepal. How can we overcome it? Raz, this is a very, very pertinent question. And as you rightly said, not every country in this world has the capacity and the capability to move 100% into digital or into internet. So in such scenario, how should you relook overall? So I think this is the question that has more of a government perspective, because in such scenario, a government has to lay down its right priorities for the overall growth of the country, right? So you and I, we are really too low in the whole setup of a country who can, in a way, direct how things can change. We can definitely advise our government in terms of opening up our economy or investing more in the digital platforms, to creating the right platform so that the world can be more ready. Because right now, if any country is not going to change its ways of working in terms of its priorities, then it is very hard to survive in the future. But all said and done, not every business or not 100% of the business is going to go digital. Be sure of this fact. In the next, maybe the next 6 to 12 months is going to be difficult in terms of resources, but all economies bounce back. Even the IMF is projecting that all the Asian economies will definitely bounce back by next year with higher degrees of growth. How will that happen? Most of the businesses will pick up steam, the demand will slowly come back to normal, and the traditional businesses will definitely come back to track. So we should not think as if the world has come to an end. Definitely we are going under a recession, but think of it as a pause button where all economic activities have been put on pause. But once the pause is over, everything will start from where it has been there, or maybe it has gone a little negative, but things will revive. So it's very important for us to understand that things are going to get better. We have to be prepared for it and de-risk our current supply chains so that the nation is more aligned to growth and it's not hinged on a particular geography to give it overall growth. And for Nepal, tourism is definitely one of the biggest growth areas. So even if this year is going to be flat, if you as a country, you can work on creating a better environment for the tourists who are going to come next year, have a great promotional event and program like the Nepal year of 2020, maybe it can be hinged to 2021. Go all out across the world, make it a great event, ensure that businesses in Nepal are prepared to have that kind of audience and give them a great service. So by that way, maybe you can have a lot of growth that you can see next year. I have another question by Shiblal. We have 3 co-founders, so everyone talk different ideas to work. So we haven't choose what we can. So how we can choose one of them and work on a good idea? When we work in teams, everybody thinks differently. And it's a very good thing because everybody has different ideas. Since there are 3 co-founders, there are 3 different strengths. that you can talk about, right? Everybody has its own strength that they can bring to the table. So the best thing that you can do is to be open to all these ideas, and debate is always good. If you have 10 different ideas on the table, so you should not be very emotional to your own idea. Once all the ideas have been gathered, then treat everything unbiasedly, every idea with an unbiased opinion, and then do a very, very good thrashing of every idea by putting down its pros and cons. That's the only way. That's the only way you can judge whether an idea is good or bad. And to help you with the pros and cons, maybe you can bounce off those ideas with a few targeted customer set. See, it's not only the three of you who are going to run the business. You need customers on your side as well. So maybe individually you might feel it's a great idea to go ahead, but unless and until the customers give you a go ahead, which you can do by your own short surveys and interviews and analysis, you will never get down to the best idea. So that's how you arrive to the good idea. First, putting all ideas on the table and then thrashing each and every one in an unbiased way. I think there's one of the last questions. How can we make delivery after sales more efficient? In Nepal, some startup companies rely upon outsourcing their delivery, and people in Nepal don't really use local postal services very much. This has become a great concern of mine. So Bibesh, this is a very important point that you have raised. In a digital economy, every part or like every portion of the supply chain, starting from the person who is producing the order to somebody who is processing the orders to somebody who is finally delivering the order to the customer, each agent has a role to play, a very important role to play. And the customer has to be delighted across all. For example, if I have ordered this shirt from an online portal, first on the website it should look nice, right? I should be able to see everything about the shirt. What is this material? What is the price? Am I getting the right discount? Is it coming from a verified seller, manufacturer, somebody I can trust? Is it getting good reviews? That is the kind of experience that I am getting as a customer. While the order is getting processed, I should have a smooth digital integration in terms of payment. There should be an option to even return the product if the size doesn't fit me. And finally, when I have placed the order, I have put money for that product. There is a certain commitment on timeline that the platform gives me, like it will be delivered to you in the next 2 to 3 days. So as a customer, I'm trusting the platform to service me with that product in that particular promised timeline. So the end delivery chain is very important, because at the end of the day, whatever selection I have done or whatever, even if I've liked the product, if I'm not receiving the product in the desired timeline or in the right conditions, for example, I should get it in a nicely packed, sealed box. It shouldn't come with a tampered box. So the delivery agents play a very critical role in giving a customer like me a good end-to-end experience. So in Nepal, if you are saying that you need to outsource your delivery to certain people and they are not really good in delivering it, the first thing that you should do is to lay down all your options. See, at the end of the day, in order to build anything, there are multiple suppliers, right? And you have to pick the best of all. Once you pick the current best, then you need to initiate dialogues with them, initiate feedback mechanism. Every order that is getting delivered and is receiving a negative feedback, you have to have conversations with the delivery partner on that. And it requires a lot of effort. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. So you will have to track it at an order level. What went wrong? What was the issue the customer faced? So when the product is getting delivered, ensure that there is a feedback that the customer can send. You can even call up the customer. Was the package okay? Was the delivery agent timely? And use these feedbacks to work with your delivery partner. And if he's open to change, definitely it will help in your business. So this active feedback mechanism is very critical for you to improve a certain platform. The other thing definitely is that if you know that this current scenario is very bad in terms of delivery partners, why don't you work with the government or work with a few venture capitalists in setting up a delivery mechanism or a company which can work on these standard operating procedures and help you to streamline your deliveries. So you will have, if you can't find it out, you need to create it on your own. That's how it needs to be done. Another question is by Dipender. How is Paytm coping with this shutdown? What has been the learning for your corporate? What management policies would your corporate introduce as part of this learning? So as I earlier touched upon, Paytm is a whole ecosystem of businesses. There are multiple businesses. Each is grappling differently with the COVID. Few businesses are seeing growth, like the essential delivery businesses and all. Few businesses as of now are seeing a degrowth. But one thing that we have realized is that we have to be very agile. We have to change very fast in terms of our business model so that we are able to cater to the current needs. For example, we never had a lot of sanitizers or masks before on a platform. Once we started seeing that there was a lot of demand, like people were searching on a platform for masks and hand sanitizer and food, we changed our supply model. Like we aligned our teams to start increasing supplies in these essential services. Because at the end of the day, it's the same team who is working on different verticals. But right now, if one vertical is getting a lot of traction, then we just realigned our resources in terms of boosting that. The second thing that we did is to preempt what is going to happen in the future so that we can be better prepared for it. For example, if I talk about apparel, currently we are not allowed to sell apparel because it's not a part of essential. But we started analyzing trends, what customers are currently looking for. So if customers are looking for more comfort wear, customers are looking for more innerwear, customers are looking for attire which they can freely do their work from home meetings. So we have started building our supply in terms of products in these areas. And we have also started changing our user interface in terms of a promotion and a marketing towards that. So we are just pivoting ourselves to what the customers need right now. The other thing that we have started is that we have realized many of our merchants in this time, they would need insurance because their workforce might be affected by corona. They might be they might have some crunch in terms of their cash flows. So our insurance business is picking up in terms of catering to these requirements of our merchants and the vendor base. So I think that's all from all the questions that I could take. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. Hope so I have helped in answering few of your doubts and queries. Over to you, Divesh.
Thank you so much, Zeenat, and I apologize if there was some problem with the internet here. It was raining heavily over here. And I think this kind of session is very, very useful for a lot of young founders, of the startup who are planning to start their own business in Nepal. And I believe your session has been very insightful for me and for all of the participants over here. And yeah, thank you so much. And after this whole COVID thing ends, I would like you to come to Kathmandu, and maybe we can host a similar offline session too. And yeah, thank you so much, Zeenat.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
All right, and we'll send you the recorded video shortly.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.